on your Instagram bio, I believe it says emotional, what does it say?
Empowerment.
Empowerment. That's pretty
Sparking,
dope.
yes. My goal is to spark emotional empowerment. I mean, the domino effect begins with myself. So
Yeah.
just like you looking at these months and, over here in New York, it's still extended. Like I know a lot of people feel like, all right, recess has started, like quarantine is done, but I don't really know. So anyways, being here and just wrapping myself in this stillness, like inviting intentionality into this quarantine, right? Because everything that I share with others begins as a reflection for myself. You know what I mean? And the great irony of this, Lily, is that naturally, I'm not like a backpedaler. I have to really go out of my way, give myself like a pep talk, like schedule it in my planner to sit down and reflect. I was just talking to one of my boys earlier, Rich, and saying how like my anxiety is like rooted in overthinking the future.
Hmm. That's, I mean,
Yeah.
dang, yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I got these four eyes and then I forget about like the eyes that I also have behind my head. I forget to like activate that as well. And you don't want to do too much of the other, you know? The balance is glancing at the rear view mirror, you know what I mean? Keeping your eyes
Mm-hmm.
on the road, but not focusing every 10 seconds on the GPS like, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? You know what I mean? It's like a balance between looking at the GPS, being present and like taking in the scenery, and then making sure nothing's about to like hit your bumper by accident. So, by the way, my like first language is analogies.
I love it. I was just about to say, I'm enjoying this analogy. I
So I'm
agree.
just throwing that out there. But in terms of emotional empowerment specifically, my journey has mainly been about swiftering up my inner self talk. And then once I get a handle, and here's the thing, when I say like get a handle on it, this is what I do. This is never in past tense. Like
Yeah.
this is always in motion. You know what I mean? Same way, I think it's like Zig Ziglar who said, when he was talking about like motivation and how there's no destination, and it's like you don't brush your teeth once thinking that you're clean for
Right,
the
right.
rest of your life. You know what I mean? No matter like, even if you was brushing for like an hour straight one morning, like you're still gonna have to do it again. And because I'm human, I'm inherently flawed. So a part of the process is always offering myself grace.
Yeah. That's a
And
beautiful
so,
thing.
yeah, and I think that's like the number one reminder for us all. And I've been having conversations with, and also like kudos to you, girl, for wanting to have these conversations, not only for yourself, but for your audience who is so extremely loving. Like the
I'm
amount of
glad.
people that like jumped in my DMs and said, "Hi, I'm so excited. You're beautiful. I started looking at this and looking like that." Like, thank y'all for welcoming me into this community and like lending me your ears, lending me your eyes, just giving me like a slice of your attention. But the conversations that I've been having with my white friends, to be specific, it's interesting how all of them that I've spoken to don't feel like they can extend grace to themselves. There's a heaviness in feeling like this sense of guilt, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And full responsibility, and shame, and feeling like, and then also feeling blindsided by a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
Because even from my friends who I consider to be self-aware, and here's the thing, us as Black people, we're learning as well.
Mhm.
Like when you have been the survivor of trauma, I'm not going to say the victim of trauma, the
Sure.
survivor of trauma, whatever is that, every time you reflect on it, and sometimes it takes a while, there's something new to unpack. There's a new
Yeah.
revelation. So even for my friends who we've spoken about race many a time, like this is not a conversation that is taboo, you know, but
Yeah.
the new nuances that have arrived, and then realizing like just different biases, even something as small as like, wow, I always ignored my dad when he said certain things, and I just shoot it away because I looked at it as that's a different generation. I'm not like him.
Mm.
My friends are different. I spend more time with them, blah, 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 blah. And not realizing that you have a more powerful voice than anyone outside the community just because of the lack of distance. You know what I mean? That you have with your parent, with your family member. That
Yeah.
sense of familiarity could allow them to hear you more than they
Yeah.
would ever hear me.
Very true.
And because essentially, even though I do believe, and I remind myself that strangers are just family you have yet to meet, but for a lot of people, that is a foreign concept. That
Yeah.
is a
Yeah.
foreign concept. And so for our white allies, and this is complicated. And again, what I really like that you're doing, Lily, it's so important. Like, one conversation with a Black person is not enough because this
No.
Black experience is not a one size fits all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
That's, mhm.
everything that's happened to me has like shaped my lens. Like, for instance, I had a white girlfriend in my past. That definitely is going to influence my evolution. You know,
Yeah.
I went for high school, I went to an all girls school that was probably like 90% white. That's going to shape my experiences versus I have some friends who were never like, they really grew up in modern day segregation,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know? And so their trauma with whiteness started earlier than mine.
Yeah.
And so sometimes the earlier that trauma starts, the deeper it's embedded
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
your consciousness,
Worse.
right? Because as a child, you don't have the tools to really like for self exploration,
Right. Yeah. So it's
right?
ingrained in when you're young.
Yeah, and I know I'm kind of jumping all over the place. But yes, but one point I wanted to make, I'm making all these micro points under one umbrella, but the one point is learn from a variety of Black people.
Yeah.
No one is your savior because everyone is human. So like literally by default, no one is going to be able to paint for you the perfect picture because the picture is so wide and has so many artists
Yeah.
involved. And secondly, and there may be some people who disagree with me, and that's totally fair, but take a breath, white people. Take a breath because everyone, but especially y'all, and I say that because the system is built by much by your ancestors and much subconsciously without knowing by the people who are listening, who are viewing this right now. You know what I mean? And so to dismantle this system, we really, really need your help because